Is this sexual aspect just a hand job? Can you speak on that?
Not even all of my tantra ceremonies involve physical touch. Sometimes it's just energetic and guided meditations and tapping into the quantum field. But generally, most people do want to have a really deep awakening. I help people a lot with sexual trauma, even with my Reiki, but especially with tantra, because I do practice red tantra, and it's tapping very deep into your sexual energetics. And the first thing they said when they opened their eyes is a goddess walked in the room and came up and spoke to me. Later on that night, they sent me an image and they were like, this was the goddess, and it was a picture of goddess Inanna. It was the first time I ever heard an ascended being's voice in my head. The dragons speak to me, but it's always my own inner narrative voice. Like the dragons call me child, and like I don't refer to myself as child. My inner voice and their tone is different, and that's how I know like, oh, the dragons are talking to me. Even when we're experiencing these psychic attacks from these entities or having a negative experience in a ceremony, there's a lesson within that. That's part of our own journey of awakening and initiating.
Welcome to the Raw Path to Awakening podcast. I'm your host, Ezequiel Reyes, where we share alternative information, unfiltered, unique perspectives on spiritual subject matters, and deconstruct colonization as we cultivate higher awareness in our daily lives. In this episode, we'll be interviewing Nickie Jean, who is a modern mystic, high priestess, and founder of, if I'm saying this right, I think it's Ashkananda?
Askandanatha.
Yes. Askandananda?
Askandanatha.
Okay, I don't think I'm going to get that.
It's Sanskrit for ascended master.
Ascended master, okay. Nata, mystery school and earthbound enchantment tantra. So, just wanted to see how you're doing today, and before I get into the questions, just checking in how you're feeling today.
I'm feeling good. My nervous system's a little in shock because this is my first virtual podcast. So naturally,
in person.
Oh yes. Look, I'm already spazzing out.
It's all part of it. Like people, people watch podcasts because they want to see the rawness and real conversations. So don't worry about it.
I personally enjoy watching in person a lot myself as well. So I'm excited to take part. Thank you for having me.
So we'll get straight to it. And I did look at your website and write a lot of questions. I know you've been doing this work for a long time, but in your own words, can you tell us how you got started helping people with your gifts and how your gifts have developed along your journey? Because I do know you have gifts, and when I met you, I felt because I can always feel when people have gifts. I know when people are psychic or intuitive. So
for me, I think my gifts were activated at a very young age. Mm-hmm. I almost died when I was a 10-month-old baby. Mm-hmm. I had to have a colostomy, and they cut out 4 inches of my colon, and they didn't think I was going to make it. And, yes. Through a lot of cultures, they talk about in order for your shamanic abilities to awaken, that your soul must go to the other side of the veil and come back. So I think for me, pretty much ever since I've been a little girl, I've always had a lot of really intense experiences. And then I had another near-death experience at 21 where I almost died of sepsis. And that's when things really started to pop off. I was living in New Mexico at the time. So I was having a lot of experiences that I didn't really know and understand what was going on. Yeah. And because of the overwhelm with it, I shut myself down. But there's always been that thing that's been there. And these experiences that happen that I can't seem to stop, that are always popping off around me. And when I was first living in LA, I came obviously to be in the industry and modeling and all of that stuff. And my friends actually went and saw a healer, a tantra practitioner, and had a really profound experience. And they were working with her, and she was complaining about the women that were working with her were not really having true spiritual abilities, and she was craving women and more practitioners in her business with her that she was running at the time that actually had true gifts. And so it was my friends recommended her to meet me because they said, we know someone. And so they presented it to me and I was intrigued. So they introduced me to her. And that's whenever my first introduction to the temple arts and healing really began. And because it felt so right and comfortable for me, that I actually walked away from my whole entire reality and quit the industry and committed myself to...
When you say the industry, is it just modeling or what was that?
I was doing modeling. I was doing commercials. I had a commercial agent at the time. And I also had started to get into music. I was in I had several music projects and bands that I was kind of working through. It's very hard to keep a band going, I learned.
Yes.
So I had, alternated through several different music projects. And even when I first met her and dipped my toe into consciously actually not ignoring these gifts that I had, instead actually trying to connect to them on a deeper level and use them, I still kind of had my foot in the door, still thinking maybe perhaps I can do both. But as time continued, it became really unbearable for me to be on set. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And so I completely closed that door and walked away. And it's been about 10 years now since then. And each year that goes by, I'm just like more obsessed and feeling like this really truly is my dharmic path. And my abilities and things that I used to shut down to because I actually don't turn away from them from fear anymore, have actually gotten a lot stronger over the years. My sight,
that's clairvoyance.
Clairvoyance, my ability to move energies, prophecy, visionary experiences, things like that have definitely enhanced. And now they don't freak me out. Now when they happen, I'm like, oh, yes.
So when you work,
here we go.
When you work with someone that's seeking help, clients, in what way do you use your gifts so that you can further help them along? Or
I think the one that I tend to use the most is the energy work, like moving energy, and the clairaudience. I mean the clairvoyance.
Yes.
People will come to me for specific reasons, and they will allow me to tap into their energy field and help them to kind of circulate and move energies, release things. And then sometimes, I'll see in my mind's eye that they have like an astral slug or something on their auric field or, whatever is coming up. And for me, instead of just taking it off or removing it for them, I like to tap into their energy field and use my abilities. And also I like to guide them to do it themselves. So I'll usually tell them like, I think I'm seeing this in my mind's eye. And when I bring it up, they'll usually be like, yeah, I feel it. And then I'll say, do you want to get it off? And of course they always say yes. And so what I do is I use my abilities to help use my energy and quantum connection, but also at the same time, simultaneously, I have them do it themselves as well. So most of the healing that is actually experienced is them doing it. I'm just there to kind of be a witness and a guide and to help them. Like the person that I saw the astral slug on them, I help them to use the method that I use whenever I have things on me or I have psychic attacks, which is I envision that there is a spark of light in my solar plexus, and I start to breathe into it and build the light and push it and push it and push it until the light pushes outward past my aura. And that naturally, a lot of times, if you've got something on your auric field, it just like boink, pops it right off.
How important do you think psychic protection and just protecting your energy body is in like today's world?
Oh man, I think that that's probably one of the most important things, and unfortunately not really taught or shared. Like a lot of times when people do go to a healer, they're kind of giving up their power to the person to heal them. But I think it's really important to actually realize that you can heal yourself. And part of the process is like we all get astral parasites, we all get astral slugs. No one is immune to them. And so spiritual hygiene and psychic protection is one of the most important things, because even if you get one on you in that moment and you pop it off and then you patch up your aura and try and figure out what it is inside of you that's making it leak or causing these issues, even if you address it and fix it in that moment, that doesn't prevent you from having another parasite coming and leeching on or
whatever entity is.
And
is
another
present,
thing I've realized is when you do start to hold more light within, more of your own light and your own power, you know, you actually become more of a target to these type of entities. It's kind of like turning on a light in the dark, like the bugs will be attracted to the light. So I've found the more people awaken and do heal and raise their vibration and hold more light, the more they're actually apt to get more psychic attacks.
That's interesting, because I hear if you are healed enough, or if you're at a place where you have done the work, a lot of the inner work, you kind of have like a shield, or you kind of have like this shield.
They say that, but I'm like, I found the more, for me personally, that I do that, the more attacks I get. So then it's more important for me. Like every night I do say a protection prayer and I speak it out loud. I use my words. And it's like I've gotten to the point where I have to say it every night. If I don't say it and I forget, I will experience some sort of attack in the astral or my dreams or in the physical realm in my room at night. So I think it's not like we become immune or higher or above it. It's just you have to actually, as you do that, you have to level up your hygiene and your protection, your psychic protection.
Okay, so I had something, let me look.
It's kind of like washing your hands. You got to wash them every day.
Of course.
You know, and if you're gardening and getting your hands dirty, you got to really wash them even more.
Yes. So I know I read on your website that you went on a trip to the temple of Magdala?
Yeah,
Magdala?
in Magdala, Israel.
In Israel, or Palestine, whatever you want to call it. I call it Palestine. So this term came up. It's called red robe priestess, and there's another type of priestess too, and I can't remember the exact name, but can you tell me like the differences between, I guess maybe there are like certain spiritual paths for a certain archetype of priestess, but if you could tell me like more about that trip and like what is a red robe priestess?
That trip was probably one of the more profound moments for me in my own personal initiations into my offerings and my healings, and really anchoring my home into a temple and into the priestess temple arts. I had gone with my mother on a 12-day trip, and it was a tour, and we had joined a Christian group. So they were going, each morning we were waking up, going on the tour bus, and they were taking us to sacred holy sites throughout the Holy Land. And when we got to Magdala, they took us to a temple that had recently just been uncovered. I guess people from Mexico had bought the land and they were going to build a resort there. And as they started to excavate to build the resort, they found a temple. And so they had to give the land back. And as they uncovered it, they realized it was dated back to be one of the oldest temples found in the Holy Land to this day. And I think they've uncovered another temple in Magdala that dates back to the same, like as old as that one. So two of the most ancient temples that they have found in the Holy Land, as they say, are both in Magdala. And
are these from the times like Jesus and Mary Magdalene?
Yeah, and I believe Mary Magdalene, she came from Magdala, so she was a priestess of Magdala. And we don't really know for sure, but my own personal thoughts and beliefs on it is that she was a red-robed priestess of this temple in Magdala.
And what does that mean exactly?
I'm sure there's probably different definitions, but from my understanding, the red robe involves sexual healings and sexual rites of Isis, and that, also ties into tantra. There's white to red tantra. There's levels of it. And when you tap into the red tantra, it is using the Kundalini chakra, which is the color red, and also is anchored, into our powerhouse of our sexual energetics. So I personally believe, and I might be wrong because I'm always learning, and sometimes I learn things and I'm like, oh, I was completely wrong with that. And my theories are constantly evolving. But I believe it does have to do with sexual healing and ancient sex rites as well.
I see. And
as we know, she was called a prostitute, and I believe it's because she was initiated into the ancient healings of Egyptian Isis and the sexual, which that actually ties even farther back to Sumeria, to Inanna and Ishtar, with the priestesses that were doing the sexual rites and the sexual healings. And that's actually where our money started, is at the temples of Inanna and Ishtar, when they were going to experience their sexual rites and their connections to God, the gods. They would bring sheaves of wheat to the temple, and they would trade them out for a shekel. And they were given a shekel, and then they brought the shekel and gave it to the priestess. And with that shekel, they were able to experience their sexual rite and initiation.
Okay. So I was listening to an earlier podcast that you did, and you mentioned that I'm not sure if it was, I think both, mainly men, but all humans are attacked sexually by modern society, or the powers that be, or whatever Illuminati, reptilians, whatever you want to call it. Do you think that this type of work that you do is important more today than ever because of the level of, from what I've heard in that earlier podcast, is and so in which ways are we being attacked? Is it pornography? Is it
shame, pornography? And a lot of people, obviously I don't think I've ever met a woman that has not been sexually assaulted. So women and ourselves are victims, but also men are victims as well, because of the fact that there is such a distortion and a psychological attack onto the embodiment of their sexuality. So it's coming at all of us from different ways, but essentially, I think one of the biggest reasons why it is so attacked is because of the power of our endocrine system and the power to actually heal and rejuvenate the body through our telomeres. Telomeres are on our DNA. That's what, when they shrink, we start to actually age and decay. And we can generate our own telomerase, which feeds the telomeres within our body. And that is generated through our sex centers, through our endocrines, through our glandular system within our body. And obviously, the endocrine system, our glands, one of the most potent ones is our sex center. So I believe that's also why they're putting so many endocrine disruptors in our cleaning products, in our food. They are trying to shut down our endocrine system. And in order to make sure that we don't use it to live longer and be healthy and not consume outward for healing, there is many levels of attack on our sexuality and our sex. And I think there's multiple reasons why, but I think that that's one of the biggest reasons why there is so much perversion and leaky energy with pornography. And also, a lot of these men and boys, they grow up looking at porn and learning how to experience sex by watching it first, not having a firsthand experience. So when they watch these men doing these certain things to women, that perpetuates the abuse. A lot of pornography is choking, slapping, calling names very aggressive and degrading to women. It's not soft and nurturing. So they're being taught how to assault a woman, essentially. And then also to be sitting in front of a screen, leaking your life force energy, orgasming over and over every day, you're making yourself sick and you're losing control of this amazing ability to actually regenerate and awaken. And also, through the endocrine system, not only can we self-heal, but we can awaken our siddhis and our abilities. So
just for people who don't know, I think I think the CDs in India, those are the gifts, right?
The gifts with clairaudience, clairvoyance. Yeah, everything we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
This is great. I'm having a great time.
And I found it's interesting because the podcast you're referring to, I did that a couple years ago, and I was calling in more female clients to come to me for tantra. And ever since I did that, I have had a massive amount of up level in women coming and couples. So I will say there has been a shift going on in the collective that I've noticed being a tantrika and holding space for sacred sexual healing, that there are more women stepping into it, because it's always been very men connect and heal and awaken through their sexual energies. So it's always been very prominent for me to have male clients, but it's been a really beautiful thing to experience so many women wanting to come and also activate and awaken and heal through it.
When people come to you seeking for guidance, so what sort of problems or trauma and do they come with? And also what kind of changes, shifts, or transformations have you seen in the people that you work with?
So because I offer such a variety of healing rituals and ceremonies, I get kind of a little bit of everything. People that have autoimmune diseases or sickness within the body will tend to come to me for combo due to the regenerative peptides that's in the
I've heard there's like a ton of, I'm not even sure what the number is. I'm not sure if it's hundreds or 50 or thousands, but I've heard there's a lot of peptides in combo.
It's amazing. It's very similar to bee sting therapy. People have found that when they sting people with the venom of bees, that their body can have a miraculous regeneration and healing. And they've found that the same peptides that are in the bee venom are also in the frog poison. So, and a thing that I've found very interesting, one thing I learned through combo and being a space holder with that is that if something, technically these are the same peptides, but the reason why it's called a venom is if it has a stinger, and it will put those poison in, versus something that doesn't have a stinger, they call it a poison. So with bees, they call it bee venom because the bee has a stinger, but with combo, they call it a frog poison. But essentially,
that's very interesting. I've never thought of that, or that's never came across my mind. I've never thought of it like that.
It's the same peptides that's healing you within it. And another thing I find very interesting is that with the combo, that with the frog, that if they've captured it and put it into captivity to try and study it, and they found when they do so that it will not generate the combo. And so in order for it to make the poison, it has to be eating its natural diet, which is the insects in the Amazon jungle, and the ants and things like that. They actually have a rosin casing on them that is antimicrobial, antifungal, antibacterial, so they can troops through all the jungle and not have any issues. So when the frog eats the insects, it basically sweats out the peptides that is coming from the rosin from the insects. So
I see. Even
though this medicine is gifted to us through the combo frog, it's still technically coming from the insect kingdom. And it's also interesting that a very similar method of healing is through the bee venom, and they're insects. So a lot of people don't realize that even with combo, this is actually medicine from the insects still, because without the insects, the combo frog wouldn't even make it. It would just be a frog.
So back to the question that I asked you
about the healing.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what people have, what kind of issues and problems they've came to you with.
It's interesting because even with the tantra, I have people coming to me sometimes for prostate issues, even with combo, because combo can help with that as well as the tantra. So sometimes people are coming for deep physical healings with ailments that they just can't seem to move past. And then some people are coming to me for deeply emotional healings, trauma. I help people a lot with sexual trauma, even with my Reiki and ceremonies like that, but especially with Tantra, because I do practice Red Tantra. and it's tapping very deep into your sexual energetics and using that energy to heal. So unfortunately, a lot of us hold a lot of trauma within our body around our sex centers. And even with my womb healing offerings that I do, a lot of women come to me that want to release stuck sexual trauma and energies that are blocking them and disconnecting them from their yoni and their womb space. And even with the womb healing, I go very deep into endocrine alchemy with it. So I'm all about the endocrine system, and I truly believe even combo is working with our endocrine system through the lymphatic. But so most of my healings are endocrine system and quantum energetic healings, and using the mind's eye and the consciousness that's within us to set intentions and to manifest our reality, which sometimes we need to manifest healing in our body.
Do you think that there's other tantric practitioners that maybe don't have, I guess this is not an ego thing, but don't have the level of gifts that you do, or like the level of like spiritual awareness around the practice? Because I know like in every community there's people who it's just maybe for like the money, you know?
I think definitely, and even in the medicine community, there's always people that are at their own level. And I try to not even have judgment with that, because even I was just speaking to a dear friend about this, that even when we're experiencing these psychic attacks from these entities or having a negative experience in a ceremony, there's a lesson within that. That's part of our own journey of awakening and initiating into things and awareness and self-awareness, into boundaries and things like that. So even in these moments where there are practitioners that maybe are not going as deep as I am, that also is necessary.
Or maybe not even like in an honorable way, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, even in that moment, it's like that's whoever went to them, that's their initiation, and there's a lesson always to be learned within that. So I've had moments where there's been frustration within myself to witness practitioners doing things in a negative way versus the sacred. But you know, it's exactly the conversation that I had with the dear sister, that, you know, even those type of moments and people and experiences are necessary for everyone's spiritual journey. So there's a place for them. And so I try to not judge, but I definitely do feel personally that with the Tantra, it's very easy to take this sacredness and use it as almost a badge or a guise to get money, or and so they might just be, you know, giving someone a hand job or something like that, you know, which happens a lot. But sometimes, you know, like I said, maybe that's what they needed. So, but for me personally, whenever I tap into Tantra, I take it into a very deep level where I'm not only connecting them to their own inner endocrine system and regenerative powers, but very much anchoring them into the earth, into the cosmic womb of creation, and kind of becoming a bridge of heaven and earth, and sharing this life force. I call it the astral light. Some people call it cosmic plasma, the living light that builds realities and heals us, opening up the body as a vessel to move it. And through our endocrine system and our own inner plasma, that's where we can move the most cosmic plasma. So even when I'm tapping them into doing that, I try to hold space to share it with the earth and to share it with the cosmic womb that births all of creation, so that we're giving back to our great mothers and sharing this healing light beyond just ourselves, but with them as well. I like to go really deep with it.
It's okay. We got the time. I think we have, how much time do we have left?
You guys have up till 5:30, and you wanted to go 15 over, so about like 45 more minutes.
Oh yeah, we have plenty of time. We're doing great.
We're hitting some good points already too.
Yeah, I'm curious. So in your tantric practitioners, in your tantric practice, is this sexual aspect just a hand job, or can you speak on that?
Not even all of my tantra ceremonies involve physical touch. Sometimes it's just energetic and guided meditations and tapping into the quantum field. But generally, most people do want to have a really deep awakening and to learn how to use their sexual energies.
Be in control of the sexual energy, right?
Yeah. So for me, I take, although there is a sensual touch aspect to my red tantra ceremonies, there's a lot more involved with it. I do give them a sound bath, a sound healing, and call in sacred space, connecting to the elements, the elementals, and I even give them a bathing ritual to bathe and purify their temple. So I try to do as many steps as I can to purify the ego and the body of any energies that are standing in the way to truly connect with the divine. So although there is that aspect to my ceremonies, it is really so much deeper than that. But the ultimate goal is to truly boot up and awaken the endocrine system and teach them how to orgasm the life force back into their body.
So that's like...
so you're not leaking when you experience sexual pleasure.
Is that like... because I was listening... So I listened to... I think it was the Dragon podcast or something. Dragon something... And you were saying like something about being careful of teaching men to have good sexual interactions because then you'll get women slashing their tires.
Well,
can you? Yeah. That's kind of. I'm not sure if that was a joke, but I want to hear more about that.
Well, another part of the tantra is learning how to connect to the kundalini, which they say we have two different life force currents that run through our body. That start at the base of the spine. One of them is the kundalini life force, and one is a white light life force. And the kundalini is described as, like red and fiery and sensual. Like we'll feel it when we're feeling passion with lovemaking, when we're creating art, when we're dancing. These are the type of moments that we experience kundalini, and teaching men how to connect to that and to use that when they're pleasing themselves and their lovers. There's a responsibility to that, because when you do hold and harness a lot of kundalini and you know how to work it and use it, it can become addictive, which for me, I had my kundalini awakening at like 29 before I even started doing tantra as a practitioner. And I started to get addicted to it because it felt so good. And I actually had to go into a celibacy. So when I first became a tantra practitioner, I had been about a year into a celibacy, and I went about 5.5 years, almost 6 years with my celibacy. But the reason why I went into my celibacy is I was getting addicted to it and I was not being responsible with it. So there is a level of addiction that you can experience, but also like you were talking about when you're having this amazing kundalini sex with women and you're awakening their kundalini within them, it feels so good. A lot of women will attribute it to, oh my gosh, this person is just such a great lover. And if they take credit for it, like, oh yeah, like I'm a good lover, then the women will be like, oh, it's just them. And this is the only outlet I can experience it with. And then they get addicted to the man. And then let's say the man doesn't want to be her lover anymore. When he walks away from her, she will flip out because she feels like that experience and that kundalini and the one outlet for it is being taken away from her. And that's when women will freak out on you, like show up and slash your tires and start, like harassing your new lover or things like that, just going unhinged. So I've found it's really important when awakening this within men and then they start to share it with their lovers that they express to their lover, like, yes, this is something real we're feeling, but we can all feel this and you can feel this with anybody, not just me.
How can a man activate or tap into his sexual potency?
I believe is everything I've been saying about the endocrine system, but ultimately turning it on so you can hold the kundalini life force within you. And once you awaken your Kundalini and then you begin to acknowledge it and have awareness and a connection with it, it just continues to get stronger. And
so does it awaken like spontaneously, or is there like a certain steps that you take?
It can awaken spontaneously, and that's what happened to me when I was 29, and I didn't even know what was going on. I was having these experiences, and I was telling my friend at the time, and she said, "Nickie, that sounds like Kundalini." And I was like, "What's Kundalini?" So I Googled it.
Yeah.
And everything I was reading, I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm experiencing. So for me, I had a spontaneous awakening without any awareness and had to kind of self-regulate and self-teach to understand what was going on. But naturally, one of the easiest ways to awaken it is through sexual experiences. But it can also just randomly happen, and you can experience it in sacred medicine. You can experience it when you're creating art, when you're dancing. But I would say the biggest trick, another thing that most people don't realize, is a lot of times they try it because it is rooted in the base of our spine. A lot of people just try and pull it up. But the true trick is you have to drop it down from the crown into the base of the spine, and then it will rise up. And the way that I assist my clients in that in tantra ceremony is before I actually begin the body work on them, I take them through an anointing of the inner temples within our body. Because as above, so below, as within, so without, we have inner temples that are all along our spine. And so I generally will guide them to envision their third eye is a throne.
Yes.
And it's the throne in the temple of their mind. And I'll guide them to have their soul sit upon that throne and to call upon the golden living astral light from the heavens and ask it to pour down upon them and anoint them on their throne, and then trickle down through the caves of your truth to anoint the pillars of your heart, and then to go down through your sacred chambers, which we actually have plasma channels that run on each side of our spine. And I call these in the inner temple anointing our sacred chambers. So allow the living light to trickle down the sacred chambers into the temple in the base of our spine and into our temple fire that is in the base of the spine, and feed the flames of your temple fire with this golden living light. And that usually awakens and activates the Kundalini.
Really?
And then
it's that simple.
And then I guide them to let that golden fiery light to begin to rise from the base of their spine up their sacred chambers through the caves of their truth, and to nourish the temple of their mind, and eventually to nourish the tree of living light that grows from the top of our head. We technically have like 164 chakras within us.
Yes.
And most of them go from the top of our head up. And just like our nervous system looks like a tree within us, our chakras on the top of our head look like a tree of light that bursts out. So
this sounds like a visualization meditation. So are you saying like if we practice this visualization
using the mind's eye,
that in itself is enough, could be enough to activate the Kundalini? Yes,
definitely. And when we've dropped into sacred space and there's been already levels of purification and preparation for your body and your ego, by the time you're in this experience with me and I'm there to connect to that golden living light, to tap into your body, to help guide you to connect to your inner temples, to use your mind's eye to do this, it tends to be like 100% accuracy every time. And I imagine you could do this alone anytime, but for me, that's why I continue to do it, because every time I'm in ceremony and it's time to awaken the Kundalini, I go straight to the inner temple anointing, and it works every time. I'm sure there's other methods. That's just the method I really enjoy. And I think it's also really nice to connect to the as above, so below, as within, so without, and to tend to the temples and using the mind's eye.
So let's see. I was also curious about your trip into the Amazon. I'm sure a lot of people want to hear that too. So in 2018, you traveled to the village of Primavera. and the Amazon jungles it was in Peru, and it was with the how do you pronounce
Matsés?
the Matsés tribe. I'm very curious to hear more about that experience.
Ooh, that one was a doozy. You don't realize how intense the Amazon jungle is until you're in it. You see all these movies and things like that, and you're like, wow, what a cool experience. And then you get so close to the equator and you're in that deep, deep, deep part of the earth, and you realize how actually intense the energy is. It's almost like a weighted blanket on your body, like is very heavy, very intense. And obviously going from society and traveling deep into the jungle to live with a tribe that is disconnected from society also has a level of mental and psychological implications that I had no idea that I would experience. But there's a level of PTSD that you experience disconnecting from society and then coming back. So for me, that was probably one of the heaviest and hardest initiations that I've gone through within my own personal dharmic path of being a priestess and a healer. And a lot of the ones like, going to Magdala, Israel, sitting at a temple and watching them excavate it is a beautiful and profound experience. Eating yummy food and, like things like that. But going and living in the jungle and, shitting in a hole and bathing in the river and waking up every morning at 6 a.m. to go do combo by the river is a very, very intense experience. And I will say my inner warrior, that was my initiation, I believe, with my inner warrior in that experience. Combo is not easy to do, and doing it morning after morning, first thing when you wake up, is a doozy. It was.
Do you feel like people who are not initiated by, it doesn't even have to be this tribe, but some tribal, like, because I know we had a little conversation before here, and you said people who serve hape, which is another medicine, it's tobacco snuff, shouldn't be serving hape unless they've been initiated. Is that the same case with combo?
That's my own personal belief, and that's why I chose to go and learn from them and go through that experience, because there are Americans that they call it ICAP, Institution of Combo something. I might be saying that wrong, but there are places you can come in America to learn how to serve combo. But I feel like it is such a sacred thing that I wanted to get permission from the elders and the people that have been, guarding and holding the codes of this medicine.
I think it's great that you did it in a very honorable way, because there's a lot of
it was hard.
There's a lot of Americans, or let's just say white people, who will love to appropriate.
And I did not want to do that. I did not want to do that.
Love to appropriate the medicine and use it in a dishonorable way. I believe that when we are using medicine from indigenous people, and we're, like my friend Dominique just said, we're all indigenous. It just happens to, it depends on like what, white people, they forgot their Nordic and their, all those roots and exchanged it for Christianity, so they had a level of colonization. But what I'm saying is that because of what has happened through the systematic erasure and of indigenous peoples on this land, I think it's very honorable that you would do it in this way,
My higher self and my intuition told me this is what I needed to do, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and I was scared to go live in the middle of the jungle and give up all of my comfort and to have to do a lot of combo and a lot of medicine. But the fact that I went and I lived with them, and the elder women of the tribe served me the medicine and wet the stick with their spit, and I was drinking their spit and the masato that they make.
I've heard of that, and I've seen that on Instagram. There's this young man who married a indigenous woman. And it's like this root, white root or something.
So it's made from yucca root. It's a thing that a lot of people don't know is it's very hard to grow crops in the Amazon jungle. A lot of them won't grow, but yucca root will grow very easily. So the tribes tend to grow a lot of yucca. And they don't usually really drink much water because the river water is contaminated. And so what they do when they do combo is they make what they call masato. Some people also call it jungle wine because you can get drunk on it.
Really?
But basically the whole tribe will sit around a pot and chew the yucca root until it's mush in their mouth. And then they spit it in the pot and fill a pot up with chewed up mushy yucca and saliva. And then they boil it once over and then they let it ferment overnight. And that's what they drink before they do combo. Because also it absorbs a lot of the toxins. When you do combo, you're having a really deep lymphatic detox. So all the toxins within your lymphatic system are dumping into your stomach lymph. And then the nausea that comes with it is your body trying to purge out and get rid of all of these toxins. So the masato and the yucca root helps to absorb those toxins and gives you something to purge out so you're not retching. So yeah, and I'm not going to lie, every morning that I did combo there because we had fasted all night, I was waking up and drinking big cupfuls of masato and I was feeling drunk, like, because it makes you feel like you're a little bit high, a little bit drunk. But that also, I will say, did kind of ease the discomfort of combo because generally the masato that I was drinking from the American that was first serving me combo here in the US, he was fermenting yucca, but he was just using water. He wasn't using saliva. So
you think your immune system improved because of that?
I will say I did not get sick until this year. I hadn't even had a cold. And I think it was just a couple months ago I got a cold and I was like, whoa. And then I realized I had made it since 2017, 2018 without even getting one cold. And I do believe that that was part of it because, you know, they say when we make out with somebody, we're eating their saliva and boosting our immune system. And I basically made out with the whole tribe. And also just eating their DNA and consuming it. And then also that's with the Matsés tribe, that's how they wet the combo is they spit on it to wet it. And, you know, you're burning your skin and then putting that into your body. So I absorbed a lot of DNA from them. And I will say that in itself gave me an immense amount of activations and changed me as a person on a very deep DNA molecular level. It gave me a really deep reverence. And they taught me a lot. And it's also really crazy. Every time I did combo, I was vibrating. I usually vibrate when I do it. And I've asked other people, like all the people in my training with me, I was like, do you guys vibrate? And they're like, are you buzzing? And they're like, no. But it's crazy because I always buzz when I do combo. But when I was in the jungle, my whole entire aura was vibrating. Like I could feel this energetic connection as a giant bubble around me. And I was just getting like fried, like, and through that gave me a level of psychic protection because whenever I experience sleep paralysis,
do you still experience sleep paralysis?
Not so much anymore. And this kind of is what helped me is my whole life, whenever I'm experiencing sleep paralysis, right before I get sucked in, my whole body will vibrate really intensely. And after I had my experience with the Matsés and I came back, the first time I had a sleep paralysis demon try and get me, I started vibrating like I do. But because I had that most intense vibrating of my life in the jungle day after day, I was able to push out of it. And I was like, no, you can't get me. So I pushed myself awake and I was able to actually, they weren't able to get me.
Yeah.
So then the sleep paralysis demons, because they couldn't get me the way that they've gotten me my whole life, they started doing this thing where it was almost like an inception where they would trap me in a room where it looked like my bedroom, but it wasn't. And a way I can figure it out is there's no lights. Like I can't turn lights on. It's kind of dark. There's no electricity.
This is when you're in an altered state and you're in an astral? You're in the astral or where?
I would say in the astral or the dream, like in the dream realm, because that's usually whenever I have sleep paralysis is when I'm sleeping.
Everything you're saying about the vibrating and inception, like I've been through that shit.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I believe it.
The other last night, I think I got a download from my ancestors. I'm not sure, but I was laying on my side and I felt like an energy like pushed me into the bed, and something, but it was, and I was a little shocked. I was like, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? And then like, I got like, I felt like an energy get pushed in me, you know?
Whoa.
And then I started getting visions. I got a vision that I was at the beach or the ocean, and the waves were coming in, and I wasn't sure if I was just done proposing to this brown skinned woman, like, and she had an engagement ring. And I was like, what's going on? And she had petite hands. I kind of knew who it was. When I was seeing the visions, I kind of had a feeling of who this person, I don't know them yet, but I feel like I'm going to meet them.
So do you think it was a vision of the future?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then like, then that night I had like a bunch of crazy spicy dreams.
I gotta say, I think it was your ancestors, because when you said that and started telling your story, my body started vibrating a little bit. And I found when like ascended beings or like powerful ancestral beings are in the room or near me, I'll vibrate and I'll buzz. So that little thing right there was telling me like, whoa, they're here. Like I think that it was your ancestors showing you your future.
It's because I've taken it upon myself to learn more about women and like just be more honorable, right? So so learning about like the 28-day cycle and all that stuff. And
that's really powerful. I love it that you're doing that. That's some good shit.
And it's been working.
The luteal versus, the
luteal phase and all that stuff.
Yeah. Follicular. And it really helps a lot to know that as a woman and your partner too. It really helps. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've been asking my ancestors for guidance and just more understanding. And so I feel like I got information got pushed into me last night, and it was like, but it was so high vibrational, it kind of spooked me a little bit. But like then after like I got the visions, like I knew it wasn't like scary.
Yeah. Yeah, back to what I was saying, the combo helped me to not.
Sorry about that.
No, I just wanted to finish my story, if that's okay. I loved you sharing that, by the way. I think that's so cool. But they weren't able to just trap me. So then they started doing this thing where they would trap me in a room that wasn't my room. And then I started to figure out what was like the second time they did that. It grabbed me by my neck and had me on the ceiling, choking me, throwing me up against my ceiling. And I thought to myself, this isn't real. I can't really be flying up on my ceiling. I'm sleeping. So then I would pull myself awake. So then I started to realize, oh, okay, they're getting me this way. So then anytime I would wake up like an inception dream and be in my room and it's dark and I'm like, this isn't right, I would just pull myself awake. And probably like 6 or 7 months ago, I had this happen to me. And a lot of times I'll say in the name of Jesus Christ, because that's always worked ever since I was a little girl.
Yeah, Yeshua is pretty powerful.
And I truly believe there is power in the word Christ, not necessarily Jesus, because when this happened to me, I said in the name of Jesus and nothing happened. I didn't wake up. So then I was like, oh shit, I got to get out of here. So then I used the technique that I use where I put the ball of light in my stomach and push it out and push it out and push it out. And by the time the ball of light got around my aura, my whole room that they had me in was spinning, and it started spinning around. And as it was spinning, I saw the sleep paralysis demon on the side of my bed.
How did it look like?
It's the first time I've ever seen it, and it was horrifying. I actually wish that I hadn't seen it, because I've been asking the astral light and like creator to show me, like I want to know what they look like. So as the room was spinning and right before I got pulled out of it, I glimpsed it and I could see myself laying on my bed, and it was to the left of me, and it was like an old woman, bald. Whoa. She was really white and she was bald and had like wispy kind of hair, almost like a skeleton.
I've seen that.
And she had long arms, and both of her arms were like placed on my arm, like, and she had almost like she had no legs. She had like almost like a spider body,
Wow.
but no back legs, but her front arms were like long spider legs, and she was just sitting there with her 2 arms on my arm. And it was really creepy. I'm like, oh, I think I could have actually done without seeing that. And the thing that freaked me out is the next day I'm on Instagram and I see a video where someone goes, can somebody tell me what this is? And it's their Ring camera on their front house. Literally the same creature that I saw is climbing up someone's porch, and it's kind of dragging. I almost thought it looks like she's wearing a diaper at first, but it's not a diaper. It's just, she's white and it's almost like a spider's body. And in this video of the person's Ring camera, this thing is climbing. It has the 2 front long arms, and it's climbing up their front porch onto their roof. And a lot of people are like, this is AI, this is fake. And I'm like, I think that shit was real, because what are the odds that I finally saw my sleep paralysis demon, and then I see a video the next day, and I feel like it was the astrolite or the creator showing me, like, that was my confirmation, like, that was real what I saw. That wasn't just some crazy dream. And I have not had sleep paralysis since I saw it. As soon as I saw it, I said, I do not consent. I don't consent to that, whoever or whatever that creature is. And ever since I've said that and seen it and knows what it is and not consented to it, I'm praying right now that I don't have this tonight, but because I said this just now.
I know when a lot of people report sleep paralysis, they never see the being.
I have never seen it until then.
And I think that's how they keep their power. And I think the because once you see it, it loses its power. And I think like, I mean, there's, because I've had sleep paralysis and I've never seen it, you know. But you're saying that ever since you have seen it, you've never.
I haven't had it since.
You haven't had it since.
I've had there are other weird attacks that I get that haven't stopped yet, but luckily whatever the fuck that thing was, that was, because the other thing I have, it doesn't, I don't experience sleep paralysis with it, but I'll wake up with weird marks on my body, weird bruises. And whenever I still haven't really been able to fully see what it is, but whenever it attacks me, it puts me into a nightmare state where I'm having a nightmare all night, like usually a really intense stress dream that's looping all night long, that feel very surreal and weird, like not normal dreams and not normal astral experiences, like it is a dream experience. And I think it's harvesting my energy, my stress energy, because when I have these nightmares, I'll usually wake up with 2 little circular bruises that are about 2 inches apart from each other somewhere on my body. And they look like puncture marks, like they're a deep blue, purple bruise, like as if somebody punctured me with a little circular thing and took out part of my skin or my tissue underneath. And with those, I found the way to protect from those is I have to speak out a protection prayer and not consent. I have to say I don't consent to any soul, essence, consciousness, entity, or being to be near me or my body in all of the realms of existence and all the timelines, or to harm me or to take from me. And if I don't say that, every freaking time I forget to say it, I'll have those weird ass dreams and I'll wake up with weird ass marks and I'm like, damn it, they got me.
I kind of have a feeling, I kind of, now talking to you today, I know why they attack you so much, because you're doing the work, you know? That's why they're getting you.
I think it might be because I have my endocrine system booted up and I'm holding a lot of freaking cosmic plasma in my pussy.
You're holding the light. You're holding the cosmic pussy light.
In my womb. And the crazy thing is, a lot of the weird like puncture marks where something's like eating from me, it didn't start happening to me until I started doing the tantra and all, and booted on my endocrine system. So this is another reason why I also...
You're doing the good work. That's why you're being attacked.
Yeah. And they're going to keep coming. But I realized there's a consent thing. There is a universal law of free will. And if you do not consent, they can't do it. So and it's not like I can just say it once. I have to say it every night before I go to sleep. Like, I do not consent. Otherwise, they will come and I feel like they're drinking from me. Like, yeah, sorry to get a little dark with that.
It's okay. It's okay. So let me see.
But yeah, I had a feeling you experienced sleep paralysis because you got a lot of power. Yeah.
Well, I've been able to. I used to have spiritual psychosis like not all the time, but like every 3 or 2 years, 4 years, I'd end up in the mental hospital.
Damn.
And then my parents would be like, the first time it happened, it scared the shit out of my parents. But
what do you think was going on with that?
I do have trauma, like, and I can't say much about it, if you know what I mean. It's because, but anyways, I do have a certain amount of trauma, and it's just been buried in there for such a long time. And then I'm started waking up more spiritually, it's like there was that polarity, right?
It almost makes you wonder if you're going on journeys every couple years into the shamanic realms, like you're doing shit, you know?
Well, I journey quite regularly now. Like once a month I'll get visions, or actually I met my spirit guide, Kumar, like about 2 years ago, and just all that stuff. But anyways,
what's he look like?
He's Indian, and when I spoke to him, the way I knew he was my spirit guide, because he felt like kind. I can feel his energy, and he but he didn't want to reveal himself just yet, so he was shrouded. So it was like a black shadow. But I felt like he was a longtime friend, and I could just feel the warmth and the kindness. And for the longest time, I would just like, spirits, don't talk to me, don't talk to me, don't talk to me. Like, I do not trust you, you know?
Yeah.
But I was laying in my bed, and sometimes when I lay down, I entered an altered state. So
you just slip in.
I slip into another reality, or I live that reality for maybe a couple hours, and I come back.
Wow.
Anyways, I had this conversation with Kumar, and he was saying, hey, if you want your business to succeed, you have to move in back with your parents. And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. Like, there's no way, bro. And he was just cracking up laughing. Like, he's just laughing. He's like, oh, it's going to happen. And then he knew. He knew it was going to happen. And the funny thing is, I actually do have a spiritual business. I sell moldavite jewelry and sterling gold plated. That's my main business. That's how I can afford to do this.
So cool.
And yeah, he was right. He was right on the money. And the way the Kumar, he told me, he's like, you know that that show Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle? You could just call me Kumar.
I love that. So that's how you got his name?
That's how I got his name, yeah.
I find it interesting because my spirit guide came, like, for the first time ever I had a real guide was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Really?
And it was actually Inanna. An ancient Sumerian goddess. And she has been my guide and my, like, she helped me through an initiation and works with me and works in my temple. And it's crazy because she actually came into my temple while I was serving a client sacred medicine, Changa.
Really? Interesting.
And they were on their second round of sitting with it. They had laid back and gone into the experience. And all of a sudden I felt an ascended being come into my temple, because it's like you can feel like as if someone walks in the room. And then I started vibrating and I was like, yeah, someone's here. And then I felt them come up to my client and move their energy. It was almost like they were doing etheric surgery on them. Anyway, so they came out of the experience and I didn't say anything. And the first thing they said when they opened their eyes is a goddess walked in the room and came up and spoke to me. And later on that night, they sent me an image and they were like, this was the goddess. And it was a picture of goddess Inanna. And later that night when I went to sleep, she actually came to me while I was laying in bed and started doing etheric surgery on me and started to talk to me. And it was the first time I ever heard an ascended being's voice in my head, because I've had ascended beings or the dragons speak to me, but it's always my own inner narrative voice.
Yes.
But so they'll call, like the dragons call me child, and like I don't refer to myself as child from my inner voice, and their tone is different, and that's how I know like, oh, the dragons are talking to me. But with her, I actually heard her voice, and she sounded very similar to Liv Tyler in Lord of the Rings.
Really?
And she spoke to me, and I heard her voice, and I was like, whoa. And that's when she told me, like, I'm here to take you through an initiation and to help you. And she stayed in my temple and stayed as my guide ever since. It's been like about 3 years now.
How do you normally communicate with your guide?
Also, I will say the astrolight is my biggest homie and guide. But just tapping into the inner voice within my head and speaking, not using words, but speaking with my mind and asking for them to come to talk to me or to help me or to show me things. And then I'll usually get visionary experiences or some knowings.
So for me, I don't really trust my inner voice, or like, not that it's because there's other beings interfering. So that's why, like, I just say, hey, if you want to communicate with me, show me something visually, or let me feel that you're coming from a good space, because I'm not ready to receive clairaudience right now. You know,
that makes sense because of
what's happened to me.
Your powers that you got a lot going on there with that. Yeah. I also speak to them through my pendulum. I'll ask questions and get yes or no's. But before I do, like if I'm like, can you help me out with this question? I need to know something right now. But before I use the pendulum, I'll ask like, astrolight, can I speak to you? Can I ask you some questions? And then I say like, will you answer me with the truth? And will it be only you who answers me with the truth? Because trickster spirits will come in and try and answer through. So I have to kind of set the foundation and make sure that I am speaking with the astrolight and only it is going to answer me. I speak to the astrolight probably the most through the pendulum, but with the goddess, I just speak to her through my heart and my mind's eye, like my inner voice.
With your clients, have any of them ever gotten like their gifts activated, either through your help or just through your help? Like,
I would say a lot of clients have had Kundalini awakenings and activations just through dropping into the sacred tantra rituals with me and me just kind of holding space for them to experience it. I get a lot of Kundalini awakenings. And then I'm grateful that they have it when they're in my temple with me, because then before they go home, I can give them advice and, let them know, like for integration, if you have any experiences or any questions, you can reach out to me. Like I'm here to help you. Like you're not alone going through this. And then a lot of times with the Changa ceremonies, a lot of people will have a really deep awakening of like knowing their life purpose or what they're supposed to do. But that's all the medicine and, the astrolight, in my opinion. I'm just kind of holding container and sacred space for them to go through it and kind of just being their witness and their guide a little bit. But a lot of the women that come to apprentice with me through my priestess temple arts, a lot of them awaken their inner oracle, which is really beautiful.
And can you, maybe a lot of people might not know what that means. Can you explain it?
The way I describe it is it is like, wow, how do you describe that?
It's a good question, huh?
Yeah, it's almost like connecting to your higher self and letting your higher self speak, your oversoul that is plugged into the all-knowing and to the Akashic records and can see through past and present and future and multiple timelines. And for me, when I tap into my oracle, usually when I'm in ceremony and I'm guiding meditations for people, to anoint their inner temples or to help them to move the energy, I don't ever know what I'm going to say. I just open my mouth and I surrender it to my soul, to the astrolight, and I let it speak through me. And there's this kind of like flow state that you get into and a little bit euphoric when your ego is not speaking, but something is speaking through you and
like channeling, basically.
Channeling. And some of the most profound guided meditations will come out of my mouth, or like things just, and most of the stuff that I've learned within esotericism and, trying to figure out what is reality has come through my oracle. And as it's coming out of my mouth, I'm hearing it for the first time and learning it and just being blown away, like, holy shit. And then later on, maybe I'll read in a book, or I'll see some video on esotericism or mysticism, and it's talking about that thing that popped out of my mouth. And then I'm like, so then it's almost like a confirmation, like, wow, this really is real. And that's probably one of the hardest things that women go through when they apprentice with me to be a practitioner and to do the priestess temple arts, is opening up and connecting to your oracle.
Because you have to trust that what's coming out of you is like...
And you have to shut off the ego.
Okay, that's the
in
part.
your mind. And like, it's a really weird sensation, but when you do figure out the pathway of how to do that, it becomes a lot easier. And because it is kind of euphoric, you want to continue to do it. But the best way that I can describe to get into it is, I don't know if you've ever experienced flow state in like working out or writing. It's like that part of the brain that you get into when you get into flow state. When you can tap into that, then your oracle will open.
I feel like some people, they got either so much conditioning or fear that like that kind of state might scare them. Like, what's going to come out of my mouth, So,
and like stage fright, it's like getting up on stage and performing or talking. You're like, like you almost want to shut down. Your nervous system wants to shut down. So you have to overcome that. And it's always the hardest, even me with my oracle, that's the most painful and uncomfortable part. And then, but then once you master it and you do it, you're like, oh, you got it. And then it's just beautiful and euphoric and magical and like but it takes a level of surrender and sacrifice of the ego, which is a really hard part to turn off, connected to your mouth and your mind.
Yes, that would be hard for me, because I have like, just there's so much stuff that like I don't want coming out of my mouth.
My mouth gets me in trouble a lot too, so trust me, I can relate to you on that one too.
So I think we have about just a couple minutes left. So I actually had something that I wanted to do. I wanted to ask you if there's like one piece of advice you can give to the viewers of how they could protect themselves, improve their well-being. If there's like, what is something they can do either on a daily basis or a weekly basis that will protect their energy?
My advice would be to connect to, I know I've talked about it a little bit, the astral light or the living light or the cosmic plasma.
People might not know what that means. So,
just think of it as a light that has consciousness, that one lives in the earth and one lives in the heavens. That it's technically what builds the fabric of reality. It builds universes and realities, and so
okay.
it's what creates reality. So that's one of the reasons why it moves so potently through our sex centers, because that's how we as humans create. We create life through our sex centers, but you can just connect to it on a general level in any way, at any time, like it's there. I've found light really helps a lot. And like I said, the living light, and using your words are very powerful. What we speak becomes our reality. And the what I was saying about consent, like if you feel like someone is psychically attacking you or an entity is psychically attacking you, speak out loud to them and to Creator and to the astral light. I do not consent to this, and use your free will and your voice. And that in itself is probably the most powerful psychic. Like anytime I'm getting an entity that's coming around, like when I first learned about Zozo, or like, I don't like to say his name, but Baphomet, they like kind of fuck with you, like start knocking on the walls and doing weird shit. And all I had to do was say, I don't consent, and it stopped. And I didn't understand that as a child. So I was tortured and messed with a lot as a child and siphoned with my fear. But as an adult, I've literally learned all you have to do is say, I don't consent, and it will stop. So I think that that's probably one of the most powerful keys to psychic protection is just not consenting and using your words. And then even with the astrolite, like, because it does build realities, you can use it to heal your body. Like, one of my best friends gives herself astrolite facials, which I started to do. You just kind of envision and ask the light to go into your hands and then wipe it on your face and picture yourself looking youthful and young and vibrant, or you can scan it on your body. You can use it to heal. And I put a ball of astrolite protection around myself a lot as well, around my aura and around my body.
So you just visualize like a light, like a white light or gold light, or
usually white light when I'm putting protection or when I'm like healing my body. But when activating people's kundalini, I call upon the gold light from the cosmic womb.
Gold light.
That one usually affects the kundalini, I've noticed, but we also have that other current of life force within us, which is white light. So I've found naturally, for some reason, I just use the white astrolite a lot for protection. But yeah, you can even ask it to go in your hands and scan different parts of your body and picture in your mind's eye that part of your body healing or transforming. And I love it. What my friend told me, she's like, I give myself facials and I look younger. And like, so I'm like, oh, good idea. I'm going to do that too. So try and beautify myself with it. But also every night before I go to sleep with that prayer I say is I place a ball of astrolite protection around my home, around my bedroom, and around me to protect me from harm divinely while I sleep all through the night and into tomorrow's light. That's what I say.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. And we're out of time. So I just want to close this off by saying thank you so much for coming on the show. And
Thanks
it's been an honor. And also, one last thing. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead. If you've liked this interview, go ahead and subscribe. So hit that subscribe and hit the bell notification. If you're watching this on TikTok, go ahead and follow us. If you watch this on the clips, we're also on Instagram. I'll link everything down below, and I'll catch you guys later.